Yes, indeed. As we proceed to give you what you need. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cross-examiners, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. So it's been a minute since I've been doing these, but I'm getting back into it. If you were paying attention to the last video before last, or my last Kurt's Corner video, I said that beginning April 1st, I am going to be doing one video every day for 100 days. Whew! I'm not sure what I'm thinking. What made me... I don't have no idea. I'm wilding. Because I haven't been doing a lot of videos lately, but partly it's a lot been going on. But partly I'm gearing up, right? Now, let me make it clear for those of you who I'm grateful for and appreciate what we do here. I'm not going to be doing like 30-minute videos every day, right? This is what them videos going to be. But I will be starting April 1st. I will be doing one video every day for 100 days, and then we're going to go from there and see where we're going, right? See what we're doing. See what's popping. See what we're doing right now, right? Hold on. I got some people in the chat right now. I just got to say, you know what I'm saying? This is it. I like it. This is my mom. That's what I'm talking about. Jules. That's what I'm talking about. What up, bruv? What you doing, bruv? Good to see you, bruv. All right, so one of the things I'm doing here, yo, Jaden, what's good? What's good? I said, hey, yo. All right, so one of the things I'm going to be doing starting April 1st when I do this 100 days, a video for 100 days straight. That's going to be crazy, all right? It's going to be crazy to y'all, too, because I'm going to be saying some stuff. There's a lot of stuff I ain't been saying that's going to come out. But one of the things that's going to come out is a little series that I'm called Misconceptions About Christianity, all right? There are misconceptions about Christianity and by default Christians that both non-Christians definitely think, but then Christians also believe also. There's some misconceptions about Christianity that we actually believe about ourselves. And so I want to talk about them because they're misconceptions nonetheless. So a misconception essentially is it's a false understanding of something about Christianity or Christians. And so today will be number one. This is a big one. And this might be more, I probably started with this one based upon like my background, right? Based upon, you know what? Yeah. That's right, Kira. We're going to hit them started April 1st. I'm giving the smoke every day for 100 days starting April 1st. All right, that's it. And yeah, pray for that, man. Hopefully you hit them 5. Yeah, hopefully that'd be dope, man. It'd be dope to get the 5 subs. I've been bojangling. People have been telling me all the time, do what you got to do. I've been bojangling. But we're trying to get the 5 subs. You know what I'm saying? Not 5 subs that you eat, because as you can see, I'm not trying to eat 5 subs. But I'm going to try to get the 5 subscribers. All right, having said that, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe, man. I know the name right there. Your mom said hit the like button and subscribe. Listen to your mom, man. People don't even be listening to their moms no more, right? Listen to your mom. All right, let's get into this first misconception. Now, let me say this on the front end, that this misconception it comes naturally to me to bring up because of where I'm from and my background. But I actually think this is an important misconception that Christians believe, and you'll see what I mean in a second, that affects what we see happening in the church today. All right, so here is the misconception that I want to talk about, all right? I'm going to put it right here on the screen. Here's the first misconception, all right? That Christianity or Christians are soft, all right? Christianity or Christians are soft, all right? This is a big misconception about Christianity and about Christians. And I think this is actually messing up a lot of Christians themselves, that Christianity and Christians are soft. All right, so let me make sure you understand what I mean. So typically what people think is that when you think about like other religions, there are other religions that they pride themselves on like aggression or going after their enemies or things like that, kind of eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth type stuff, right? There's this sense where Christianity is soft and Christians are soft, right? So wherever you go in different parts of the world, you got Christians that soft. We're turn the other cheek, and we're trying to be. So there's this understanding that, especially in comparison to some of the other major world religions, that Christians or Christianity is soft. All right. This is a misconception, and I want to explain why in this video. First of all, by implication of saying that Christians or Christianity is soft, right? By implications, you're saying that the God that Christians believe in, which I'm part of the Christian tradition, the God, whether it's the Father or the Son or the Holy Spirit, Jesus, you're saying that Jesus is also soft as well, right? So that the God that we serve is soft and that Christians are soft. All right. Okay, so let me just start real quick with this statement. Okay, Jesus is not soft. All right. If we just take just a cursory view of the Bible. In fact, let me just say this. There are people who will not become Christians because they think the God of the Old Testament in particular, no one really complains about Jesus, and we'll get to that in just a minute. But the God of the Old Testament, people would say, is angry, spiteful, vengeful, all these things. What they're referring to is God destroying a lot of people, right? Even some of his own people in Numbers. People were a lot of idolatry. So God was sending a snake. Snakes were biting people and killing them, you know? You get this kind of rhetoric, you get the flood and all this stuff. You get these narratives that show God, and they think, well, how could that God be a loving God? Now, people don't struggle with Jesus, and again, we'll get to that in a second. But the God of the Old Testament, they think is, how could that be the God? Okay, so the God of the Old Testament and the God of the New Testament, it's the same God, right? When Jesus said before Abraham was, I am, right? He told the Pharisees that, referring to back when Yahweh told Moses, and say, hey, what's your name? Tell Pharaoh, I am. Like, I don't have no name. My name is that I exist. My G, that's my name, right? Jesus is not soft, and neither is God of the Bible, right? The God of the Bible, which is Jesus, right? Jesus, Hebrews 1, all things were created through him and for him, right? Jesus was equally responsible as the Father and the Spirit for killing millions of people in the flood for their disobedience. Slim. If that you know what's funny to me is like in the street, in the rap culture, right? In rap culture, there's segments of rap culture where we boast about being gangster, right? Like even in the black community, I made a video about this 2 videos ago that I made. There's this almost, and I was from that. I'm from that street era, like that gangster, like all that shootouts, getting locked up, proud to be selling crack, all that, right? The funny thing about that era, and then people just loved. There's a pride in being violent and like I'm gangster this and that. Slim, nobody is more gangster than the God of the Bible. Number one, the God of the Bible said, because you are sinning against me, I'm wiping out everybody except for 8 people. Everybody, all these animals, all these people, I'm wiping them out. Wiping them out. That's not soft, fam. That's not in the Exodus. Go peek at Exodus 12 when you get a chance. Exodus 12 is when the God of the Bible, of Christianity, said, I'm going to destroy the firstborn sons, animals and human beings of Egypt, and told Moses, tell the Israelites that if they don't do what they're supposed to do, they're going to lose their firstborn sons too, right? And then in Exodus 12, God says, I am going to cast judgment on all the gods of Egypt, and they will know that I am the Lord. That's not soft, fam. That's not soft. Christianity and Christians are not soft, right? So now we get to the New Testament. We get to Jesus. And this is where people struggle with. Jesus was, God of the Old Testament was one God, but Jesus is different. I like Jesus. I don't like the God of the Old Testament, right? Jesus is not soft, right? Jesus was humble. And there's a difference. There's a difference between being humble and being soft. Christians, no, don't get me wrong. Let me say this. There are some soft Christians. There are some Christians out there that are afraid. Let me say what I mean by soft, right? Soft is people who were unwilling to fight back or stand up for themselves because they're afraid. That's essentially what people mean when they say Christians or Christianity is soft. You are afraid to fight back and stand up for yourself. You're like a punk. You get beat up and you do nothing about it. And that's what people mean when they say Christianity is soft or Christians are soft. There may be some people who fall into that category, but that would be anyone in any religion. There's always going to be people who just are afraid of people more than others. But let me tell you from personal experience and then from the Bible that I know a lot of Christians grew up in 2-parent households from the suburbs that fight against the temptation to punch you dead in your mouth when you say something wrong to them, right? Or when you talk to them in any kind of way. There's a difference between being afraid to stand up for yourself and trying to be humble. See, what Christians are trying to do is to be humble, and humble is not soft. Soft is something different. I'm going to explain that in just a minute. When Jesus shows up, Jesus is not showing up as a soft God. God already demonstrated his commitment to his wrath and to display that wrath in multiple occasions in the Old Testament. In the New Testament, though, he shows up to display something else. He's not coming there to display his wrath on the world. He's coming there to display his wrath on his son. It's a big different thing. It's a big different thing. Now, let me say this to you, for those of you. In the streets, there's this rule called no snitching, like don't snitch, right? Like even if you take the charge, right? You're going to take the charge. You're not going to tell on anyone else. That's kind of the rule. You're not supposed to tell that somebody else committed a crime. Even if you go to prison for the rest of your life, right? And that's somehow admirable in the street community. I was from that, all right? So if that's admirable, if you think that that's gangster, if not snitching, right, on something that someone did, and you go to prison, right, because you don't want to say what someone did because you don't want to be a punk, that's the street code. Don't snitch. Stop snitching, right? If that is admirable, then what do you call, I'm going to take the punishment for the sins of the whole world? Like, what do you call that? So if you are not a punk, if you're a gangster, if you're an OG, because you didn't tell on some gang activity in the street that could get some people locked up, then what do you call the man who says, I'm not telling on nobody. I'm going to take all of the punishment as if I did it, and I'm not going to say nothing about it. If not snitching and go and is gangster, then what is the cross, fam? What is the crucifixion with the sins of everyone, all of the gangsters who don't snitch? He's taking the punishment for all of it. Jesus isn't soft, fam. Let me give you a verse real quick just to show you that what God is saying. Let me tell you why Christians are trying to be humble, right? First verse, I want you to just see this, and I want you to see this. This is what Jesus was saying. This is what Jesus said, right? This is Matthew 10. This is Christians who know their Bibles have this in our minds, right? And do not fear those who kill the body but cannot kill the soul, like all of y'all, right? Rather, fear him who can destroy both soul and body in hell. I don't know how you process this verse, but this is a gangster verse. This isn't soft at all. Jesus is saying, don't be afraid of people who can physically harm you. So no question, someone could run up in my house and shoot me and kill me. They could harm all of that's true. Believing in God doesn't prevent none of that from being true. That's not the point. But what Jesus is saying here is, man, don't be afraid of them. Be afraid of the one who can destroy both body and soul in hell. Because once you die here, there's another life. See, everyone's eternal. Every one of us is eternal. Now, I know that there's some people who believe in annihilationism, that when you die, you're just going to be annihilated and not live eternally. I don't agree with that. I don't know what the Bible says that. I don't see it. Stevie Wonder can't see that. Here's the thing. Christians believe in another place of torment for rejecting God, where God's gangster is going to show up. And that's the reality. And what Jesus is saying here is, don't be afraid of these folks. Fear him. He's the real gangster, if you want to put it, and to use the vernacular of what I'm talking about, right? Now, the gangsters are evil, so I'm not saying God is evil. I'm just saying when it comes to power and authority and aggression, there's nobody more gangster than the God of the Bible, right? So how does that translate to Christians, right? Well, there's a difference between being humble and being soft. Again, being soft is about being too afraid to stand up for yourself and all of that stuff. That's not what Christians are. Now, there are Christians who are like that, but that's not what Christians are. There's a difference about being humble. Being humble is something different. Being humble is recognizing that the God of the Bible, Jesus is more powerful, more worthy. He took the punishment we don't deserve. And so we're trying to live in obedience to him despite how our flesh feels, right? So I come from a street background. By default, I'm naturally more confrontational and aggressive. So it's not like, oh, I'm a Christian and I'm a pastor, and when you disrespect me or say something or whatever, whether it's online or in person, most people don't got the courage to say stuff to you in person nowadays. Everybody's a keyboard killer, right? But when I'm tempted to respond with aggression. When you see humility and gentleness, it's not because I'm afraid. And there's a lot of Christians who are not afraid. There are people watching this stream right now who are not afraid, right? But they're trying to be humble. Why are we trying to be humble? Because of this verse, one in particular. Here's why Christians are trying to be humble. Because Jesus said this. This is what Paul said. Therefore, be imitators of God as beloved children and walk in love, right? As Christ loved us and gave himself up for us, a fragrant offering and sacrifice to God. This is a big misconception. See, Christians are not afraid to punch you dead in your mouth. They're trying to honor the Lord in our anger. We're trying to imitate God. So if God, the creator of all things, the gangster who did all that in the Old Testament, in the New Testament, he showed up and said, I'm here to take the punishment, not give it. I'm here to get shot at, not shot back. I'm here to get beat up, not fight back. And I'm doing that because I know that's the only way that you all can be sufficiently forgiven is if I don't snitch and I take all the wrath of God. Think about it. Whatever happened in the flood, all the millions of people that died and all that, that wasn't the full wrath of God because there were 8 people whose sins were spared. What Jesus experienced on the cross from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., full wrath of God, right? Whatever that was, it wasn't just a ripped open back and hanging on a cross with some nails in his skin. It was way more serious than that, right? Jesus says, I'm going to do that, and I'm not going to fight back against people. I'm going to let God, there's going to be a day for that when that vengeance comes in. So Christians are trying to imitate God by not giving in to the aggression, the wrath, and the anger that we could. There's a lot of Christians who come from backgrounds that are tough. And I ain't just talking about people from the hood. I know some people from the woods. I know white people that look like they're gracious and kind that, man, will slice you up in the flesh if it's the wrong thing happening. And I'm not saying this to boast, like I'm saying what Christians are trying to do is be humble. We're trying to humble ourselves and trust God and imitate what Jesus did. We're not imitating, and don't get me wrong, what I'm about to say, I'm not making a distinction between God in the Old Testament and God in the New. Jesus said before Abraham was, I am, meaning I am the God of the Old Testament that brought about all this calamity that people say, well, that God is different from this God. Nah, Jesus said they both me, but in this era, in this covenant, I'm going to do things differently. I'm going to relate in ways, and I want my people to imitate me, right? So Christians are trying to be humble and trying to obey God. It's not that we're afraid to strike back. It's just we don't want to dishonor the Lord. That's a big difference. This isn't about being soft. This is about trying to be humble. Jesus is not soft. And God is not soft. Now, let me tell you why this is important. Let me tell you why I chose this one first. And it has nothing to do with because I'm an OG from the old days, right? I'm a low-key OG. That's not why. The reason why I chose this one is because I actually think a lot of Christians have bought into this idea that Christians are soft. And what I've seen happen over the last 10 to 15 years within American evangelicalism, that's my base. So when I talk about Christians, I'm usually talking about American evangelicalism. what's happening in other parts of the world, I'm not hip to in the same way that I'm hip to what I see happening in my country. And what I think has happened to a lot of Christians is there is this idea that we're soft, that we're punks, that we're afraid to stand up for ourselves. And so there is this overcompensation of anger and vitriol and aggression and latching on. I honestly, let me tell you what I honestly think. And you know, I'm always telling you what I honestly think. And you're going to hear more about this when I start April 1st, the 100 days or every day, right? This culture war that we're in, conservatives versus these people resisting the racial, all that, the culture war Christianity, that's the kind of the new denomination, culture war Christianity, the CWC, right? That is coming from Christians who are overreacting to this idea that we're supposed to be soft and let people just do whatever. They have believed to some degree, I think, this perspective, and so they are pushing back against the narrative that's not biblical either. It's not biblical. Let's be clear. Whatever you agree with politically, those people, they're still people, right? People are not the enemy. God never says that. He doesn't say love your enemies and love your neighbors because they're the people you should be. That's just oxymoronic, right? He says love your neighbors, love your enemies because you're trying to be like me and I love them and I love you. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to imitate God, right? This culture war Christianity is not rooted in a true love for country or what the Bible actually says. If people actually read the Bible, they wouldn't be saying some of the craziest stuff they say, right? You know, in James, it says this, in James 4. Look at this yourself. I'm not going to put this on the screen because this is coming to my mind right now. James 4 says, if you speak against your brother, right, you are speaking against the law. And if you speak against the law, then you are a judge and not a doer of the law. Think about what that's God's word saying, if you speak evil of another Christian, then you are speaking against the law of God. I ain't say that. James 4 said that. Go ahead and look that up when you get a chance. Right? So this culture war Christianity is really a reaction to people thinking that we're not doormats and we're not soft and we're going to let people know that we stand for. And it's like, fam, we don't got to do that. Like, we don't need to do that. I'm not soft at all. I am soft. I'm fat, so I'm soft. I mean, when my son, a couple years ago, my son one day poked my neck and he said, Poppy, your neck feels squishy. And then we all just busted out laughing, including him. So I'm soft in that sense. I'm a little squishy. But when it comes to personality, when it comes to like, oh, no, Christians are not soft. What people are likely encountering are Christians trying to be humble, trying to be imitators of God. So let me talk now specifically to my brothers and sisters who share the same Christian tradition that I do, right? Some of us have been hoodwinked into thinking that we need to push back against the culture and all this stuff. And don't get me wrong. When I say push back, I don't mean we should just let people do whatever in the name of Jesus either. But there's a certain anger, a certain level of edge, a certain level that I'm from all that. But when I see that, that reminds me of the old me, not the new me, not the now me, right? That's the old me. The now me is not trying to be like that. Now that's always going to be a part of me because let's be clear. When the Holy Spirit moves in, once we get saved, Adam doesn't move out. Like it's still there, right? That's Galatians 5:17. We're gonna have that battle for the rest of our lives. But don't think for a second that if I'm responding humbly, that I'm being soft. You have no idea that I might be seconds away from just open hands smacking you in the face just to show you who you're talking to. But that would totally dishonor the Lord. It would discredit the witness that God has given me. And as much as in my flesh, I would love to do that to a few people. I'm trying to be an imitator of God. Jesus didn't do that. You know what Jesus did? He let them punch him in the face. Now, let me be clear. I'm not that mature yet. So don't try this at home. I'm not that mature. You ain't gonna just hit me in my face or hit my family and I'm gonna just be praying for you. I'm gonna pray on you, but it's gonna be Prey. I'm not that mature yet. But God willing, by the grace of God, we're gonna get there, right? But this is reality. Christianity is not soft. Christianity is not soft. It's counter humanity. God tells us, look, you're going to go the opposite of your natural instincts because you believe me. You're trying to imitate me. The natural instincts for most people is vengeance, is anger, it's sin, it's all these things. But Christianity said, no. You're going to trust me to take the vengeance because I'm the only one that's worthy enough to actually execute vengeance. You're going to trust me because I died on the cross and took your punishment. I took the wrath that you deserve because I'm the real OG. Jesus is the real gangster. I didn't snitch on nobody. I took all of it for the sins of even people who are not worthy of them, which is all of us, and then said, all right, now if you believe in me, imitate me. This is what you see Christians trying to do. So this is a big misconception. Make no mistake. Make no mistake. I'm not saying there aren't soft Christians who are afraid. I'm just saying, do not think for a moment the way you see some Christians responding on your job or in your home or in schools is not because they don't want to smoke. It's because Jesus took it for us. We don't want the hell smoke. But we ain't afraid of you, champ. We're not afraid of you. We're not afraid of your movement. We're not afraid of your politics. We're not afraid of you, champ. We're not scared. We're just trying to be humble, right? We're trying not to act the way we naturally would act. So it's a big misconception. Christians are not soft. Jesus is not soft, but we're trying to be humble. And there is a difference between being humble and soft. But what do I know? My neck is squishy. And you still can't handle the tooth. All right, man, I'm getting back. I'm getting back. I'm getting back. I'm getting back. But on April 1st, I'm going to be doing some couple things. But on April 1st, every day for 100 days, we're going to get it in. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff. I'm going to say everything from everywhere, all of it. It's a challenge that I'm taking, and I'm grateful for it. All right, before I dip, let me peek at some of the comment sections. Let's see who's doing what. All right, Jules, I agree with you. We are called to meekness, but meek does not mean weak. That's a bar right there. We called to be meek, not weak. That's the bar right there. That's it right there. We're called to that. I think that's the thing we have to realize, right? That's the thing we have to realize. We got to remember what was really going on here, right? We got to remember, all right? All right, look, I'm about to roll. I got to be not soft, but I got to harden up and get some work done, all right? But listen, appreciate y'all. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Some of y'all been faking, man. I even seen on one of my buddies' channels when he said, I got these many people that watch the video, but only these many people like and subscribe. What's the deal, fam? Listen, it ain't going to hurt you. It's not going to hurt you to hit the like button and subscribe. It ain't going to hurt you, right? And if you're a Christian, take solace in this, right? Take solace in this. We're trying to be imitators of God. You're not soft because you're not ready to cuss somebody out because they disagree with your politics. It's not soft to let people say stuff and you not retaliate in the way that you feel. That's not being soft. That's a misconception. We're trying to be imitators of God. And as beloved children, we're trying to love others the way that he did in hopes to win them to the kingdom, right? All right. Having said all that, I'm getting ready to get out of here. Appreciate it. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. See y'all when I see you.